Good afternoon. Welcome to Simply the Truth, live with me, Doug Harris. This is Thursday, the 11th of February. That's about right. I've got it right. And you're more than welcome, as we always say. You are as important, if not more important, of those of us here in the studios. Thank you for joining us. A big thank you too to one of our viewers, Yvonne, that sent me this wonderful new waistcoat, which I proudly wear, and really appreciate it. I'm building up a good wardrobe, so you might actually see me wearing waistcoats on other shows soon, because I've got quite a wardrobe full now, and we can change them around. Anyway, enough of that talk. If you want to keep up with Simply the Truth, look on to the Revelation website. Simply the Truth is there, a link from the front page. There, if you are watching the repeat or you don't have the opportunity to communicate today, you can put your question in there, you can put your comment in there, and we will follow up with you at that time. So do take a look at that. It tells you all the things that are going to happen that we know in the future. It will also give contact details of guests that have been on before. And of course, they will be up there. Amy's will be up there. Amy Orr-Ewing, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. Amy is Director of the Zacharias Trust and Director of Programs for the Oxford Centre for Christian Apologetics.
Yes.
It's a long title.
That's quite a mouthful, it's true, yes.
Of course, about a year since. I mean, my wife heard you over a year ago at a women's breakfast, and she came home very enthused. Said, "You must get her on your show." So, you've had a baby since then, haven't you?
I have. Yeah. I've got a baby who's now 15 months old.
Right.
And I've got twins as well who are 4 years old.
Right. So. And mother and babies are doing well?
They're great. The boys are doing well, yeah.
and Dad, of course, is a preacher, is a
vicar. That's right.
Yeah.
My husband is a minister in the Church of England.
Right.
And leads a church in Peckham.
And his name is Frog?
His name is Frog. It's just a nickname, but everyone knows him as that. So it's sort of stuck since he was a baby. No one really knows.
Nobody knows. It's one of those things that have happened anyway.
Absolutely.
Great. Bless you for coming. We're going to be getting into our whole subject today, which is apologetics, one of my favourite subjects, but I'm going to spend little time talking about it today because Amy's going to do most of the talking about it. I'm just going to ask the questions and let her do the answering. But before we get on to our apologetics, Amy, I love my guests just to share a little bit of where they came from, their upbringing, and how they came to the Lord.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, well, I was born in Australia. My parents were both unbelievers. They were in their 30s. My dad was teaching at the University of New South Wales in politics and economics, and my mum was raising us as children. I've got an older sister as well, and doing research as well. And I think they both got to a point in life where they felt they had everything they wanted materially, and intellectually they loved their life, their job. They had a beautiful home. Australia is obviously a really beautiful country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they thought, is this it really? And one night, my father was marking some exam papers in his study. We were all in bed, asleep, and he just had an amazing vision. And he saw multiple situations from his life right through from early childhood to the present day where we would say as Christians he had sinned, but he didn't even know that word, where he just saw that he'd hurt others or gone his own way. And in each scenario, he saw the reaction on the face of Jesus to what he was doing, what he was choosing. Now, his father had been a very virulent atheist, and he'd really hardly been to church as a child. In fact, his mother had been prevented from having him baptised. She'd wanted him to be baptised. His father wouldn't allow it. So no Christian content, really, to his upbringing. So he was having this amazing vision. At the end of the vision, he saw Christ on the cross. And he just found himself on his knees in his study. And the only words he could remember from the Bible, don't know where they were from school or somewhere, was the phrase, "Lord, I believe, help my unbelief." So just kneeling there on the floor, he said that. and got up off the floor a changed person. So he went in to wake my mother up, shook her awake and said, "Jane, the most fantastic thing's happened. I've become a Christian." And she was less than excited about this and rolled over and went back to sleep. But she had had a fairly kind of normal English upbringing. She'd been at boarding school, so had been at church every day, in her teenage years, but thought it was totally irrelevant and boring. And so had not even thought about God for years. And so here was my dad, now this Christian, and he said, he thought to himself, how could I meet other people who are Christians? And sort of tick, 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 maybe church? It was a completely alien idea.
Try,
exactly.
Yes.
So he said to her, "I'm too embarrassed to go on my own. Will you come with me?" And she hatched a little plan, my mum. She thought, I know my husband is intelligent. I know how I can get him out of this Christian phase. I'll say to him, I'll only come to church with you if it's an Anglican church, thinking that will cure him for life. It's so boring that, within seconds he'll be out of this phase. So they got the yellow pages, found an Anglican church, and it was in Sydney, and there the Anglican churches are actually really evangelical. And obviously they didn't know that. So they rang up, found the service time, turned up at church, and it was quite amazing in lots of ways, but the preacher was preaching on Romans 1, on the wrath of God. And my dad sat there for 40 minutes just completely overwhelmed by the presence of God and the truth, and just really that revelation of God's judgment and what he'd been rescued from in salvation. And my mother sat there absolutely furious, hearing, there's a God who will judge us and hold us to account. She was so angry. So by the end of this church experience, they were sort of even further apart. And they argued for about 6 months. My dad would sit my